The Leader of the Opposition.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. My question is again to the Prime Minister. Former counsel assisting the Independent Commission Against Corruption, Geoffrey Watson SC, said the Prime Minister's phone call to the New South Wales Police Commissioner should never have happened, stating, I quote, "It just looks like he's applying pressure and it can't be anything else. It must be a favour because why else would he be calling?" I again ask, how on earth was that phone call appropriate?
The Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I refer the Leader of the Opposition to my earlier answers. The Leader of the Opposition invited me earlier this week to inform myself of the matters that he'd raised in the Parliament and in relation to the Statement of Ministerial Standards. And, Mr Speaker, in this very chamber, I told him exactly what I was going to do to inform myself, both to comply with my duties to this House and to comply with my duties as Prime Minister under the Ministerial Statement of Standards, Mr Speaker. So, Mr Speaker, I did what I said I was going to do. I was up front about it with the Australian people. I was up front about the Parliament. I went and told them what I had done. I made a decision, Mr Speaker. What we have seen since that time is the political games being played by a Leader of the Opposition who is more interested in the drama and the carryings-on of Canberra politics than he is in the serious issues that are being raised in this place. Now, Mr Speaker, I know that because he was on the top of the list when it came to shutting down and gagging a veteran in this chamber who had said they wished to speak on the issue of veteran suicide. Now, the Leader of the Opposition can use all the fine words he likes, but in this chamber, on his direction, one of his members moved that the member for Herbert no longer be heard, and he wished to speak about veteran suicide. Shame on you.
My question is addressed to the Prime Minister. How can the Prime Minister claim that the opposition made no objection to his statement that he would call the New South Wales Police Commissioner about the substance of Strikeforce Garrett into one of his cabinet ministers, when the Prime Minister has prevented the Parliament debating this deepening scandal 20 times this week?
The Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I am sorry to have offended the precious sensitivities of the Leader of the Opposition, Mr Speaker. But on the issue,
Member for Scullin.
On the issue of gag motions, Mr Speaker, that he has raised in his question,
members on my left.
The one thing the Leader of the Opposition should apologise for is by running the sort of political game tactics we've seen on display this week and in its worst form today, where the Leader of the Opposition voted to gag a veteran of this country who was seeking to speak about veteran suicide in this country. He was on the top of the list of those who voted to gag that member. But it wasn't only that, Mr Speaker. The very bill he was speaking on was about the Defence Service Homes Amendment Bill, which expands eligibility for the Defence Service Homes Insurance Scheme to current and former members of the Australian Defence Force. Mr Speaker, on the second reading, they voted against this bill. The only people who should be apologising in this chamber is the Leader of the Labor Party, Mr Speaker, for his grubby political games.
The Prime Minister will resume his seat. Has the Prime Minister concluded his answer? Has the Prime Minister concluded his answer? The Prime Minister's concluded his answer.